Welcome everyone to episode 60 of Raw Sport. My name is Ahmed Al-Houli, and as he does once again, Mr. Tony Sheen joins me on the show. Tony, what's happening, my friend?
Oh, you sound crystal clear tonight, Ahmed. It must be a new microphone.
Oh, I love it, mate. I love the compliments. Keep them coming. I feel really, really good tonight. I got a new microphone, and to top things off, we've got an awesome guest joining us on the show. A very special man, a man who has brought a lot of joy to the western suburbs of Melbourne, and now finds himself in the boxing ring. Mr. Clay Smith, welcome to the show, buddy. How are you?
Thanks for having me, boys. Thank you.
Crosscode king, mate.
It's starting to get like that a little bit, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Oh, it's fantastic. Add that to your resume.
Yeah, no, it's been good. I thoroughly enjoyed footy, and the body down below, the legs and the hips decided to give out, so I'll let the hands go now.
Fantastic. Before we get into all that, we'll quickly go to a quick shout out to our sponsors who, without them, this show is not possible. Tony, take us away.
Now, Clay, we know you live in the coldest suburb, if not state, on the planet. So if you want to turn your gas to electric hot water plumbing, you should upgrade with Houdini Plumbing. Ditch your old gas hot water unit and switch to an energy-efficient heat pump. You can also save on bills, reduce your carbon footprint, and enjoy reliable hot water. You should get one down at the footy club. So why choose Houdini Plumbing? Because they are energy efficient, which means up to 70% less energy. They're also eco-friendly, which means lower emissions. And Clay, they are good on the hip pocket, which means you can slash your bills. Houdini Plumbing also has excellent expert installation and professional service. So for all of you in Melbourne, call Houdini Plumbing on 039917 5458. Or for all you Sydney people who have fled overseas, get online for houdiniplumbing.com.au to upgrade today.
Thank you
done
very
that
much.
before.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sheehan. Let's get straight into it. Clay, mate, last time we seen you on TV, it was on a footy oval. A couple of weeks ago, you appeared at the Melbourne Pavilion on Channel 7 across the country, knocking people out. Talk to us about the transition, mate.
Yeah, look, I did a little bit of boxing, very early days. I don't know if anyone's been watching. Just recently, Mad Max Reeves that just fought and unfortunately lost, but it was a cracking fight. Paul Carroll, who trains at AU Fit in Bairnsdale, used to do a little bit of stuff down there just as a kid, 14, 15, 16, pre-season. Did a little bit of sparring and stuff back then, but it was more purely for the fitness for footy. And then did a little bit while I was playing footy with the boxing coaches that come in and the gym in Yarraville and Gareth down there. And then Big Johnny come in he come in and trained with us at the Bulldogs. So always enjoyed the boxing and the physical side. But obviously I would have liked the footy career to go for a little bit longer, but these things happen and it just led me on to new paths. And yeah, then it sort of popped up. I had a fight with the gym in Yarraville. Popped up on my phone actually 5 years ago, just maybe 2 weeks ago. So that was my first fight. It was probably one of my toughest fights too. Chris French, he had a lot of MMA and boxing background, and then COVID hit. I was supposed to fight on Wildfighter actually and go pro. In my second fight, that never eventuated, and then sort of just, and Tony Topic from Team Ellis hit me up maybe 3 years ago and had 3 amateur fights and now 3 pro fights out there. So it's ticking along just nicely.
Now, for those who haven't worked out that about the headline, you're an AFL Premiership star for the Western Bulldogs. You played some 55 games.
Yep.
Played 6 seasons with the Bulldogs. How did you find that?
Yeah, unbelievable. Best job in the world. Well, I think any job that you grow up loving, and that's your dream, and you get to do that for a full-time job. It is, you get paid to do what you absolutely love, and so it was a once in a lifetime experience. Look, I didn't come without controversy. I had 3 knees in 3 years. I played 30 games in my first 34, maybe. Did my first knee, come back, played 3. Did my second, come back, played 4. Did my third. So I'd done 3 knees in 3 years and thought it was all over. And then strung some games together in 2016, and just happened to be the year that we won the flag and played 13 games in a row that year, which was unheard of for me. And it really did. It held up at the right time and gave me that fulfillment, I guess, with my career. I think I look back, and if I didn't have that, I might not look back on it as fondly, just because of sort of how it eventuated. But yeah, I got to take something away with me, I guess. With being cut short at 25 and having to retire at 25, it was the hardest thing that I had to do at the time. And it definitely come with its challenges and stuff that followed that. And I definitely went to a bad place afterwards and sort of fell down that trap and then dragged myself out of a hole with the help of a lot of other people and got back into coaching and into boxing and then sort of led me to where I am now. So.
Wow.
Well, to keep on the good part. Sorry, Amit. I just want to emphasise you also managed to kick a goal in the grand final.
Yeah, I kicked 4 in the prelim. That was a good day.
Yeah.
So probably the best game of my career, to be honest. So I pulled that out at a good time. But yeah, had to kick the goal in the granny. And if you watch the footage back, Chris Hemsworth is actually cheering in the crowd. So that's a little they crossed to him in the crowd. So he's a big Doggies fan. So a little shout out to him. But yeah,
go Thor.
Things like that.
That prelim was against the Giants, wasn't it?
Yeah, Giants.
Yeah, you really turned it on. I think the Bulldogs were nowhere near favourites. They finished eighth that year, and Tony Sheen's mate, the Giants captain. I'm going to throw one there.
Toby Green.
Yeah, they thought that they were going to sail home and walk into the grand final next week, and the mighty Western Bulldogs pulled it off with the help of this man. I'm going to take you back. Take us through that game. Were you injured before that? I can't remember, to be honest.
No. So I'll come back round 11, I think, that year. Played all the way up, but fair bit of controversy and stuff in the media. I lost one of my best mates that a week before. So on the Friday before the Hawthorn game, he had a car accident. And then he was in a coma and they ended up switching his life support off on the Tuesday of the prelim game. So tough week. Was on the beers with mates from back home during the week and sort of sitting around and just talking some shit, telling some stories and trying to remember the good times. And obviously wore the armbands in the game, kicked the first goal of the game and gave the good old arm a kiss. And but yeah, that was probably one of the toughest weeks of my life. I was never not going to play. He would always want me to play, but I didn't celebrate the game at all. You watch it back, and Cameron Ling interviewed me, and I swore on live TV. So thought I was going to cop a bit of stick for that, but they understood the circumstances and stuff. But yeah, it was a weird week, just with everyone so jumping for joy and everything. I sort of sat in the rooms after the game and didn't really say a whole lot. Just probably tried to process it all, but it was a place where I could get out and probably escape all the thoughts and just all that hurt because I could focus on the game and I had a job to do. So it was probably an escape for me, to be honest.
Ahmed, that year in 2016, Clay played in round 15 against Sydney and then played every game through to the grand final and kicked a goal in every game bar 2. So, mate, you had a pretty stellar comeback season.
Yeah, I timed it well.
Yeah, we've got AFL tables up for you, mate. So they're all
Yeah.
All right, mate, in terms of what you went through, which is obviously nobody wants to go through and how harrowing it was, to come out and have a season like you did is nothing short of fantastic. So well done.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Wow, powerful. Take us through the transition into the boxing ring. How did your body adjust going from AFL, the crazy training there, to inside the boxing ring, so on and so on? Take us through that journey there and how you felt your body's held up and why it's held up.
It's it's completely different, but at the same time, very similar. It's nowhere near as much running, but to put it into context, like when I was playing, my ideal weight when I was playing footy was 85.
How tall are you? What, 6'3"?
No, 5'11 and a half, mate. Don't ask. I'm half a centimetre off 6 foot, and I'll never get there.
Make your hair. Do your hair like Tony?
I'm short. So playing at 85, like I was heavy, but I was one of the top 2-3 runners at the club my whole career. I was always a very good runner. And then I had my fight in May. I fought at 76, and
wow.
mate, if you told me I was getting to that when I first started training there, when they said I was getting down under 80, I looked at them and said, "You got rocks in your head, like."
That's super middleweight.
But it's different. It's a different fitness, but I definitely I've never looked so lean and probably so ripped as what I get to in my training camps, and but I guess you've probably got to have a little bit more muscle and a little bit more fat, I guess, just to take the hits, and it's probably just the rigors of AFL is a little bit different, but yeah, you can't prepare yourself for, I guess, like even your first couple of fights. You do all the training in the world and you just knackered. I was speaking to Brodie Holland and Stevie Baker about it before their fight and even post. I just watched Brodie's Instagram today, and he was talking about it. And like, I just remember telling him, I said, like, your legs just feel that heavy. But then I look back at my first AFL game I played, and I kicked 4 in my first game, and I was subbed off halfway through the third quarter. And I remember the crowd booing and that, and Jared Grant come on, but like I got subbed off because I had full body cramps. Like, just you just go through the game in your head, and the same thing in a fight
against West Coast
pre-game, and you're just so worked up about it that you're knackered before you even start.
Wow. So your first year was 2012. Your first game against West Coast. Who were some of the names you played against?
Kennedy was still playing.
Josh Kennedy, yep.
Yeah. Darren Glass was there. Shannon Hearn, obviously, mate, he's still ticking around. Yeah, there's some ripper players. Mark Lacraz, I think, was still playing. Like Gia, Daniel Cross, Matty Boyd, Lucas Martin.
Some big names.
Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny that you say that, Clay, because Stevie Baker was on the show last week.
Yeah.
And he was taking us through the experience, and he's like, mate, unbelievable. I thought I lost my legs.
Yeah.
he goes, I'd think of doing something, but I just couldn't do it. It was just that the feeling I felt, my lungs were working overtime. So it's a very, very different transition. And I would love to see more AFL players get involved with boxing here in Victoria. I really believe it will uplift the sport. We've seen the NRL boys in New South Wales really embrace it. And I think you guys are doing a great job at leading the way, because that transition into boxing is very, very different.
Yeah, 100% agree. But like you said, it's like anything. Like, you can't buy experience and composure. And that only comes with ring time, training time, and getting comfortable. Like, for someone like myself or Broads and Stevie, when you first walk into a gym and like, mate, you're watching some of these pros train and fight, and it's like, I'm so far off that. Like, but it's just time and experience. Like, you go and chuck them boxes into an AFL preseason, and guaranteed, like, they're feeling the same. Like, it's just something that's unknown, and I guess that's the biggest fear, but that's the biggest excitement as well. It is the unknown, and it's throwing yourself in the deep end. It's like, all right, let's have a crack and see what happens.
So Clay, in terms of blokes that have played at the highest level, you and Stevie Baker and Brodie Holland and others, who do you know or have heard of that goes really well with the gloves and has played?
Cam Mooney, I think, was not too bad with the gloves on.
Tommy Bell-Chambers might say otherwise.
Yeah, yes, very true. And so Tommy's had a good one as well. Who's the fellow that played at Melbourne?
Jack Melksham.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had a pretty good amateur background.
Yep. Can throw them.
Yeah. So no, there's definitely a few that have, but I guess it's sort of
Dane Swan at Gather Round.
Yeah, Sonny was good. Like Sonny actually surprised me. Like, see, and I think he's sort of that laid back nature. It doesn't mean that he trains any less, but he just relaxed a lot more. And it's definitely something that helps in boxing. If you can relax it and sort of just keep you cool and keep your composure and your shape, like it's something that I'm continually working on is keeping my composure and not just getting worked up too much. It helps. So even who's the fellow that fought Mitchie Robinson?
Yes, who fought Kane Pettifer.
Yeah, he fought Kane Pettifer. I was meant to fight Kane, and the talk sort of fell away, and I think it was because of the gather round. But yeah, I thought Mitchie fought very well. So,
would you fight Kane Pettifer if the negotiations were engaged?
I definitely would, but I'm not sure. That was 16, or I think they fought in 20-ounce gloves in the gather round, and he took a few from Mitchie. So I don't think he was too keen to fight in the 10s and go pro. Oh, he'd already had 3 pro fights.
Yeah.
But, so I'm not sure where he's at. But Mitch is and definitely sort of spoke about it. I spoke to Mitch a little bit. Sort of spoke to him before the fight with Kane, and but just whether our weights are sort of in the same area. If you get down to 76, but yeah, look, mate, fight anyone for the right price, and as long as, and it's more what my trainers want as well, where they see my trajectory and who they want me to fight. So we've sort of tried to step it up each fight, and with Damien Locke and then Jamie.
Locke, as in the bloke who played for Carlton.
Yeah, so that was my fight in May. So
yeah, I remember. Yeah, they used to call him Ghosty.
Pro fights, and so yeah, I fought him May the 4th. That was my most previous fight before the fight. So it was only 6 weeks before my last one. And then yeah, so that was when Premier Boxing and Channel 7 come to Team Alice and offered him one of their shows, and so there was no way I was saying no to that. And then even Mitchie had a 10-round cracker and won the Australian title. And mate, his hands blown up. He hardly sparred the lead up the other one. And, my wrist was sore for the first 3-4 weeks, but there's no way I was turning down jumping on TV again and putting on a show. So got ourselves cherry right for the night, and yeah, it turned out to be a ripper night. Well,
that's why we essentially got you on, mate. The fastest 20 seconds of you in a sporting arena. Tell us about it.
Mate, it's funny. Like I look back at a couple of my fights, and I do, like I land one or they land one on me, and I sort of lose my shape, and I've got the power, which I wasn't sure. Like my first 3 amateur fights, I knocked them out in 16s, and then yeah, went to the 10s, and same thing was, I think my first one was 15 seconds into the second round, and then Damien was first round, and then that one. So, but I was so relaxed and so calm in the most recent fight, in the lead up, in the rooms, and I even started the fight probably my calmest, and sort of picked my shots, and even my trainers and that said that, they said, like, you did, and it's probably why it sort of happened that there was a shot there and I took it, but it wasn't rushed. So it's every fight's a learning curve, but like they said, and if the shot's there, then you take it, like if you do the rounds or not. But I honestly I was sort of like hoping it and ready to go a few rounds and spend a bit more time in the ring and hopefully settle into the fight a little bit more. But yeah, once you get them with one and they're on the back foot like that, then like I have a joke with the trainer. I said, you don't get paid for overtime, so it's mate, you win the fight in the first round or the 10th, it's still a win. So, but yeah, I've only been to the corner once with Ty, so I've had 6 fights there, and I've been to the corner once.
Wow, Clay, what does the future look like? You're developing a bit of a reputation as a knockout artist. Is it going to get harder? Are you finding it more difficult to get fights yet, or is that still to come?
So Team Alice got their next show in August, which I'll probably take a break from just because I did December last year, then May, and then June. Sorry. So I've had 3 in the last sort of 6-7 months, and then as I was saying just Tony before, like coaching footy and yourself, like I was literally doing edits before I jumped on here with you guys, and not quite sure that we might make finals this year just with the injury run and everything we had. We made the granny last year, which was awesome, but that takes up a fair bit of time too. So, and just leading into finals and stuff. So it was probably good. The body probably needed a little bit of a break. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday mornings out of boxing, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday footy, working full time. Like it's a busy schedule. So I've got a little bit of a break at the moment. And then I'll go again in December. So I'm not sure who I'll be fighting yet, or how hard it might be to find them. But look, I sort of just started it just to probably more for my mental health, and give myself a routine and structure and a goal. I need something to focus on. And once I do, then it's a very single, narrow-minded focus. Like if I say yes to something, I'm all in. Like I don't do anything half-assed. It's just once I'm there, and that's how it is. So it's been great for me, health-wise, physical-wise, mentally-wise, but also just I'm a competitor, and so it scratches that itch, and getting in the ring. There's no thrill like it. So it sort of makes sense at the moment. I haven't been hurt, so if something bad happened, then you'd think about it otherwise, but it can happen anywhere. It can happen walking out on the street. And so mum and the partner and everyone's, they deal with it at the moment, and they find themselves cheering on the fight night. So I'll see how far it can go. Definitely.
Hey, Clay, speaking of cheering, sorry, I'm to interrupt. Clay, speaking of cheering, you had the Bulldogs captain in your corner, number 4.
Yeah, it was. They've been to a few, actually, some of the boys, which has been good. But that was actually a surprise on the Wednesday night. It just so happened that it worked perfectly. They had the bye. So I think they had their last training session on the Wednesday morning. There was about 7 or 8 of them there. So it was awesome. Little Cody Bateman. There was a few. But I finished the fight and looked over to my sponsors table. My boss and my mates and my dad and everyone was sitting, and Bonte is sitting there next to me dad. And I was like, where'd you come from? Like, he's like, yeah, never bought a ticket on the table or nothing. It's like, come over here, as you would.
Yeah.
But even stuff like that, like to look around and see them boys there and them still supporting me, like that's huge. Like I love that. And every chance I get, I'll go down and support them. But you got mates for life. You really do. But yeah, it's special. Like, everyone else there is in the crowd trying to go and see him, but he's come there to see me, sort of thing. So, it's special.
Wow. Hey, have you had anybody in your family box?
Nah, no, not that I know of. They were definitely a wild bunch growing up. Mum's one of 8. She's got 5 brothers. They grew up in country New South Wales, and I think they weren't the most well-behaved kids. And my pop's one of 11.
Wow.
So big family. But not that I know of, like close family-wise, as in boxing.
Wow. Who would you say has been a rock for you, mentor through your AFL and boxing journey?
Who has been?
Yeah, who's somebody that you can pick up the phone and just talk to about anything and everything, and they'll give you the best advice?
Oh, look, when I was playing footy, Nick Stone, who was my rehab coach, he was super. I spent 3.5 years. I had an AC reco on my shoulder and 3 ACL recos on my knee. So I spent half my career in rehab. So I was with him a lot. Tommy Libb, I spent a fair bit of time with. But like my wife, I had to lean on her a whole lot, my mum. And then probably my best mate, Shawnee, who I grew up with in the country, was actually our captain. Like I think he beat me in 6th best and fairest, and I come running up as a junior. And He's a captain in the TAC Cup year and thought he was probably going to get drafted. Never did, but moved up to Melbourne. We lived together for 4 years, and best man at my wedding. And then he's playing for me now at Point Cook, and then I just got him a job at the start of the year. So we just keep finding our way back to each other. But
so he never got drafted?
Nah, he never did. So I played Williamstown VFL 5 years at Footscray in the VFL. And then went back to Bairnsdale, played a couple of years, and then got into Point Cook. So one of our stars had 30 and kicked 3 the other week, and he's still chugging along as a 30-year-old. So, but
what's his last name?
Hey,
what's Sean's last name?
Wyatt.
Sean Wyatt. Big shout out.
Yeah. So he's been my best mate since I was 10 years old. So now working on job sites together. So. We just keep finding our way back to each other, and he's definitely been someone that I've lent on for a long time.
Wow. All right. Clay, you've been very kind and generous to join us on a Wednesday evening. You're a very, very, very busy man. We thank you very much for joining us on the show. Tony, before we wrap things up, any more from you, mate?
Yeah, I know we've touched a little bit on this, Clay, but when's your next fight and who do you want it to be?
So December. I should probably know the date, but it's a December show with Team Alice, so that'll be my next one. And I'm not sure who it's going to be yet.
Stevie Baker?
Who's that?
Stevie Baker?
Well, I don't think he'd say yes to it, mate.
He saw you train. He said no way.
We had a few sparring sessions, and I like it, mate. He's in a completely different phase. He's still learning and getting used to it. But yeah. I'm not sure. I'll leave that up to Ty and to Jakey and the boys, and they'll come to me with their best plan and someone that they think that's going to be a challenge, and that'll just be that next step up again and again. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it. I've still been going in the gym. I'll be back in there Friday training with the pros, and I'll help them out with their next show in August and just sort of be there and help. Get all the people ready in the corner, and hopefully got one of my mates fighting. So might corner him with Ty. So we'll wait and see.
One more before we let you go, mate. Do you want to actually become fully pro and fight, as a full-time gig?
Look, mate, I'm someone that never says no. If the opportunity come and that's something that they thought, then I would. But I'm 31 as well, so. I love a challenge and I'll see where it takes me. But at the moment, we'll probably do this for another year or so, and work and take a few more fights, and if the next few and we step up again and again and sort of start taking on some of the legitimate boxers in our weight class and go all right, then. Yeah, it's definitely on the cards.
Well, for all of Clay's fans, where can they find him?
Me? You're asking me? You should be asking Clay, mate. What do you
I was leading you into that question.
You flipped the script, mate. All right, Clay, where can you be found online, buddy?
Oh, mate, just, mate, I'm on Instagram, Clay O'Donoghue Smith, or Clay Smith it is, Facebook, Clay Smith. You can type it in. It's pretty hard to miss. It's got the old blue tick, which I don't even know how you get.
Premiership time, mate.
I woke up one day, I was playing footy, I woke up the next day and it was there. So, it shouldn't be too hard to find, but there's always some good content on there.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Clay Smith, thank you very much for joining on Raw Sports. Thank you, everyone who tunes in to every episode. We'll catch you all on the next episode of Raw Sport. Take care, everyone.
Clay.